Yes, you are still on to the economy today. And right now, I want to go straight to the aviation sector. As you all know, that the aviation sector in Nigeria seems to be going up and down, and a whole lot of things is happening there. And right now, we have a new administration and a new minister who is in charge of the aviation sector. But today, we'll be looking at the growing the aviation sector, under a new administration. And so I'll be having this interview with an aviation expert and also who is a journalist and somebody who has also worked in that field for so many years, more than 30 years, going forward. His name is Supo Atobatele. You're welcome, sir.
Well, thank you very much. But let me say this, I'm not an aviation expert, I'm a media.
A media, yes, of course, you are still an expert in that.
When you come expert, you are talking about technicalities of it.
Yes,
okay.
Yes. Okay, now, you are a media person. So let's look at it very well now. The aviation industry in Nigeria, it is booming somehow. It has a lot of airlines, both locally and internationally. But someone would say that over the years, somehow the proceeds of that sector has really fallen somehow, and the drive for people to go into that area seems to have dropped. Then some people have also picked it up, to continue to drive in on with all the whole challenges involved in it. So growing that sector now, under this new administration, with a renewed hope for every other thing, what is your own thinking towards that direction? Is there any glimmer of hope for the industry to grow better?
Well, let me begin by saying this, that since 1999, when we started experiencing the democratic government under President Obasanjo, I would say the intervention of a democratic government under his leadership, because before then, there was this suspension of flight from Murtala Mohammed International Airport to Lagos to New York shortly after the June 12 debacle. And immediately Obasanjo came in, he has to open up various sectors, and the pivotal sector that we do that for foreign investors to come in happened to be the aviation industry. So he tackled that with then the minister in charge then, Dr. Mrs. Chikwe. Through the diplomatic maneuvering, they were able to get American North to restore, flights to Nigeria. And I want to say that since that time, the industry has been very, very dynamic. Contrary to what you are saying, maybe downturn, no, there's never been any downturn in the aviation sector because right now, the airline keep on growing and growing. And I want to say the last 8 years too, we have new entrant. Even as we are talking, some airlines, new ones are coming in. So the industry is, is vibrant. It looks, investment friendly sector. But being a sensitive industry like that, you expect that our own industry should be competitive, in the sense that the facilities therein should be upgraded, especially what people see at the airport, like the conveyor belt, like the cooling system, even including the runway for the airlines to fly their aircraft in taking off and landing. This facility, including security, at this airport environment, very, very important. These are areas that I feel that we are still lacking. That, like about 2 weeks ago, some thieves, so to call them, they invaded the airport at Lagos and they tampered with the cables there. I think some of them were arrested. So all these things, they are not good for our airport. Security, number one. Then the airport facility, what people say at the terminal, it should be friendly. You need to travel outside. You go to Addis, go to Nairobi, go to South Africa. When you come back home, you now be thinking, what makes the difference at the airport? And at the same time, we are promoting tourism. You want to promote tourism, the airport must be in a standard form. It must be friendly, including the handling of the security, the immigration, how friendly are they? In Lagos, you have about 4 or 5 security, tables that a passenger will have to go through before he can enter the aircraft. You are talking of fan security, you are talking of ADLE, you are talking of immigration. You're even talking of the quarantine people. Already everybody start to check you one after the other. You're even talking of SSS. They are there, police inclusive. So these are.
Sorry, I quite understand what you said, but then let me quickly say the first thing before I ask my next question.
Yeah.
Why I actually said tip turning, like you said, it has been growing. Players have been coming in, and yet also some players too have been leaving. You know, they will just come to the scene, operate like a year, 2 years, or 3 years, and then they just disappear, and some sort of like that. And again, now you mentioned some things, some factors, or some areas that needs to be totally developed. A friend of mine in 2010 traveled to South Africa. And, you know, that was his first time of leaving the country. So when he got to the international airport, he said, the Nigerian international airport, he was so marvelous. He said, oh, this place looks so nice, this and this. He said when he got to Johannesburg's airport in South Africa, it was the MTN 2010 World Cup. And South Africa was hosting it, so he was privileged to be there. He said, in his mind, he just said, Nigerian international airport is a kitchen compared to that place. So it is a total an insult, you know, from a Nigerian. That's a Nigerian who is not really educated that that much, but you know,
you could see the difference. Yeah, you could see the difference. Yeah, exactly.
It was too wide a difference. Exactly. Now you mentioned security, which is very paramount. You mentioned tourism. You mentioned infrastructure. These are three stuff that needs to be maintained. So what is the sector doing to improve on those standards, you know, going forward?
Well, what the sector is doing implies what the minister has in mind to do. Is the head of that ministry, is the one that can drive the vision for various agencies. Even though the various agencies, they have their own hearts that you know, drive them to do what they needed to do. But it is incumbent on the minister to drive it too. You must have a vision. I'm happy that the new minister is talking about upgrading the facilities at the airport. He should push it. It should not be rhetoric. You know, he should do the talking. So that's what I want to say. It has always been a recurring issue, talking about, and it's good. You could see the result coming out based on this ICAO safety audit. I think Nigeria scored very, very well, even far more than Canada itself. I think Nigeria scored 70%. Canada, that is one of the top league in the aviation industry worldwide, scoring 64. So that's it. So we have the personnel that can drive this industry. And at the same time, when you have a new government, there could be some lapses that the previous government didn't do. You as a new minister should focus on that, improve on it, you know, to meet the world standard. Well, the most interesting aspect of aviation is that there's what you call certification of the airport. So if the airport, if your airport is not meeting the international standard that can, you know, temper, can influence or influence safety, that can touch on safety issue, at least they can, on assessment, they can downgrade such an airport. So that's why Nigeria too, that's why I'm trying to counter you that there's nothing wrong in the past. People keep on working and rebuilding it's a continuous exercise. As one government leaves in and a new one comes in, the new one that comes just look around, where can I improve on the one that has been done before, and what are the new areas that I can, you know, focus on to make the difference. I think that is the most important thing for any government.
All right, we'll go for a very short break now. I'll be right back to asking more questions on the growth of that sector under this administration. Welcome back. You're still here on the Economy Today, and I am interviewing Supo Atobatele on the growth of the aviation sector on the new administration. Now, you mentioned, you know, old administration could have done this, and then if the new one comes in, they should just look around to see what is happening now. And that is continuity,
yeah.
which is something that is lacking in every Nigerian facet. You know,
Yeah.
one minister comes in, he abandons totally what the former minister did, and and this brings me to the carrier, the growth of that. The growing of that place. Now, you said, yes, there have been improvements, maybe on new players coming in because of the investments level. People wants to bring in the investment portfolios. And Nigeria seems to be, they have the crowd.
Yeah.
They have the populace.
Exactly. The market
is there. But again, the infrastructural development is what is not really there. So, between the former administration and this new administration, are you seeing anything like continuity on trying to improve or trying to totally move away from what the former administration on that issue did, to form their own?
Okay, for the minister to have embarked on such a tour means that he wants to get first-hand information, and from there he could, make his own plan to make the difference. That's what I can say. Because government is not static, it's a government in continuity. So which is very, very important.
From your own perspective, as somebody who has worked in that sector for a very long time, and also who's in media of that sector, that should know enough so much. How will you assess it? Can you assess it like something that can actually have a drastic push of investment into it in the couple of months coming or years?
Well, I'm not speaking for the minister. I don't know what he has in store.
Yes, from the media perspective.
Yeah, well, that's the expectation. We're expecting to make the difference. As simple as that. That's the expectation. It should make the difference. If something is not working yesterday, it should work today and should work tomorrow. Even when he must leave a legacy. That should be a challenge to him. That's it. I think he's talking very well about that.
But can we say, that some of the challenges faced by the former, that are still there, they are still there now? Like the insecurity now you talked about, some people just come into, and then the encroachments, because I see a lot of, especially at the local airport, you look around, you see some buildings that are not even supposed to be close to the airport, and then some structures, we have some dilapidated structures in the airport, really. And they seem not to even bothered about some of them. Some of these
dilapidated structures.
Yes, structures.
Which airport?
Dilapidated structures. And I'm talking about our hangars. I'm talking about some abandoned airplanes that are not.
No, those ones are not. They are not in the purview of the of the agency. If somebody abandon the aircraft, what they need to do is just like the minister directed that. And I remember when I was still in Nama, we were doing. There was this directive then that all the abandoned aircraft should be, packed out of the vicinity of the airport.
Be removed.
And I think some they did. It's made of aluminum product. Some people came there, they sold it off.
So there are no guidelines or rules to make sure that people don't just leave their airplanes.
It's in the purview of a fan in particular, because they are the one that manages the airports around. So if you see that one aircraft has been abandoned for years, it is their responsibility to do that. And mind you see some of these abandoned aircraft, some of them they are even under litigation for one thing or the other. So it could be there as an exhibit. So,
okay, now you talked about tourism, because airports leads to tourism, and when you have a very good airport environment, you find out that your tourism sector would actually grow somehow. It's the same way, both of them complement each other. Exactly. So how is that going to happen? I mean, what is going to happen to that sector? What is going to happen to both sectors, improving it for tourism purposes?
See, if you are talking about tourism for the country, we should not focus on the airport alone. There are a lot of things that can.
But the airport seems to be like the major point of entrance.
It's the channel.
It's a channel.
But the most important is safety. How are people outside the country perceiving Nigeria in terms of security? On radio, on TV, we had the interview from foreigners. My mom said I should not come to Nigeria. People scared me. He said, but I'm here. Nigerians are friendly. We are friendly. But the news all over the world is that because of the insecurity around, maybe in the northeast or northwest area, and they're even in southeast too. So all these reports that,
So most of the challenges is information.
Information, how to manage information. So if you are saying your country is good, there shouldn't be somebody beheading fellow human being. If you are saying country, there shouldn't be a story about kidnapping of foreigners, kidnapping of fellow beings. So all these things definitely will scare, foreigners from our nation. So the airports, when you have a peaceful environment, that's the time people can think of coming. That's the time you now say, in truth, we have to upgrade our airport. Nobody will tell you when you are seeing, bigger aircraft, like A3, it's coming down, 30 coming down, 747, those, they're coming down. Since I came in now, assuming you're having about 10 to 15, big flights coming in, and at least average of 400 passengers coming, offloading, then you know that we have a serious business. You need to be in South Africa, you need to be in Ethiopia, you need to be in Nairobi. You see, even in Morocco, upper north there, you see all white men are coming in because those areas are a bit peaceful, but not in Nigeria. From every security man, without even any information from passive kidnappers, these are issues. But once we have that, when the nation is at peace, there isn't any bomb blasts anywhere, there isn't any kidnapping, nobody's beheading fellow human being, then you know that we are ripe for terrorism. And it's a potential market, yet untapped. As far as I'm concerned, all this one that we are in is just myopic. That can't come.
So it is a sector that is yet to be untapped.
Yeah, I'm telling you. But we should not focus on the airport alone. The airport is just the channel for people to come in.
But again, we've had a lot of challenges in there. Sometimes some airlines do some particular things that could actually be in.
Can bring in visitors. But if the visitor lands, is it not going out? Is it not going to the beach? Is it not going to a big time, African restaurant?
So now, I wanted us to look at, because if I do not talk about this, I won't be sorted out. I really want us to look at the challenge of establishing the Nigerian carrier again.
Okay.
Bring it on board, because for me, I feel like the former minister lied to Nigerians for a whole 8 years and nothing came out of it. Are we going to face the same issues, like we are not going anywhere until we now have maybe one airline come and then they say, okay, this airline is not a national carrier. After 1 year, it goes down, then another one comes in, another one comes in. Before you know it, you'll have like 4 or 5 airlines trying to do the same thing that was not done by the former. But having a carrier is just having your own property.
Yeah, the business model for national carriers really changed now. The previous government was trying to bring a private-driven national carrier, but is that government or minister that can explain better why the project was truncated? But let me say this: under this government, the minister suspended the issue of Nigeria. So we don't know what he has in his sleeve. But I believe that now there's strong agitation. Instead of having that national carrier, we should better, designate our local carrier, like Air Peace, if I'm permitted to mention some airlines in Nigeria. You can designate them on international, which they've started doing that. I think Air Peace was on Dubai route of recent. They were going to South Africa. I don't know whether they stop or not. So you can make them a carrier. That's what we call flag carrier. A flag carrier, quite different from a national carrier. A flag carrier, like a Virgin Atlantic, it's not a national carrier of UK. It's a flag carrier, and they're coming from UK with a BA, back to back, day to day, flying. But no airline is designated to compete with such carrier. I believe that minister, if he puts his head down very well, and if he listens to the operators in the industry, he will make his choice. But my opinion is that we should designate more of our local carriers, competent ones, assess them, and put them on international route. And that's why we're still having hike in the airfare. If you have a local carriers, there won't be all this headache of we cannot transmit, we cannot get our money out of Nigeria. That mentality will not be there. So it's very, very incumbent on the minister to listen to the operator and make a choice that will be very, very profitable for Nigeria and Nigerian people.